Welcome back to the Quinexus podcast. I'm Chuck.
I'm Jack.
Today we're going to talk about the risks of using IoT devices. First, what is an IoT device? It's an Internet of Things device, which could be an IP camera, a children's toy, or a smart home hub. So what are the concerns about using these devices that are connected to the internet?
The challenge is with IoT devices is they are connected to the internet. They're designed to make our lives better and easier and more convenient. But again, the definition of IoT is the Internet of Things, with devices connected to the internet. And with the consumerization of these type of products, manufacturers are trying to get products out to market as fast as possible. Competition in the consumer market is huge. These video surveillance systems that we put in our homes, the security systems we put in our homes, tons of competition. And because of that, sometimes security is overlooked.
How are these security issues being addressed?
There's requirements for IoT devices not to have default passwords. And if they do have default passwords, when you log into them, you have to change the default password
As
one of the first steps, yes. So default passwords on these IoT devices is a big threat because, as I mentioned, they're connected to the internet. And if we now know the password to get into these devices, it creates an issue. When I say connected to the internet, we'll put a device in our home, and then we can access it remotely, which means there's a stream of data going to and from something inside our home or inside our business going to the outside world. And if that stream has got vulnerabilities, can be interrupted, then the criminals can be in your business or on your personal systems.
Where do you see this problem going in the future?
In the short future, things are going to get worse before they get better. With the proliferation of all these devices, with the stiff competition and the demand for these devices, people are going to buy them, people are going to install them, and the criminals are going to continue to look for ways to exploit them. When it gets better, an example of getting better is the California Consumer Protection Act, where they're requiring these devices at minimum not to have default passwords, and if there is a default password, the default password needs to be changed when you log into it. And are actually requiring companies to come up with a definitive amount of time and state when you buy these devices, how long these devices will be supported. And when I say supported, patches and security updates will be pushed out to these devices.
How can these IoT devices be used to attack other organizations?
Great question. A good example of this, in 2016, there was a DNS provider, DNS, that was attacked in the Mideast. This company provides DNS services for some major companies. It appeared these companies were all offline because when you type in www.nike.com or www.google.com, a DNS provider has got to resolve that URL to an IP address and then forward it on. That's done through a DNS provider. In 2016, a bunch of these home video surveillance systems that were all out of the same manufacturer but with different company names on them had a vulnerability. And the criminals attacked all these security camera systems and then launched a laser focus attack against a very large DNS provider in the Mideast. And that's called a distributed denial of service attack, and they were able to actually overload the DNS servers, which made it appear that the internet was down or the sites were down while the sites were up. So these IoT devices not only create a threat to you as an individual or to your business, it also creates a threat to the internet.
The three takeaways from today's podcast are to buy your IoT devices from a reputable manufacturer. If there is a default password on the device, change that password. And make sure that you keep these devices patched and updated, just like your phone or your computer or anything else that connects to the internet. Thanks for joining us again on the podcast. Like, comment, and subscribe on wherever you're watching this, and we look forward to seeing you next time.